Oh God, no.
Oh, she climbed up.
Jesus. Jesus.
That's my shoulder.
When Bobby first saw Annabelle, he had no idea just how strong the bond would become. Today, she's a full-grown pit bull, but around him, she still acts as if she were Daddy's little girl. And their story began before Annabelle was even born. When Danny and Bobby learned that a pregnant dog had been brought to a local shelter, she was about a week away from giving birth. They knew that what she needed most was a quiet, safe place, so they decided to bring her home. Before long, 12 puppies were born in their house. At the time, Danny and Bobby never thought any of them would stay with the family. They were sure that once the puppies were old enough, each one would find a new home. But as time passed, 2 of the 12 puppies began drawing more and more of the family's attention. That was when Danny and Bobby started to realize that letting those 2 go would be much harder than they had expected. From the very beginning, Annabelle stood out to Bobby among all 12 puppies. He could never explain why he felt so drawn to her. At the same time, Danny and their youngest daughter were becoming more attached to Norman. Although many people warned them about littermate syndrome and advised them not to keep a brother and sister together, they could not bring themselves to let them go and decided to keep both. To prevent possible problems, Danny and Bobby researched the subject, created a strict daily routine for the dogs, and gave them plenty of mental stimulation. But it soon became clear that Annabelle had already chosen one very special person. From the time she was 3 weeks old, Annabelle rarely left Bobby's side. Whenever she wanted affection or attention, she always went looking for him. And if she sensed that something was bothering him, she would immediately come over and start licking his face. One day, Bobby jokingly made sounds that resembled purring, and Annabelle responded the same way, as if they were actually talking to each other. Their unusual bond quickly became obvious to the whole family. But Bobby was not the only one who held an important place in Annabelle's life. Norman had been beside her all along, though Danny and Bobby did not notice his role at first. Only later did Danny and Bobby realize that Annabelle and her brother Norman had shared a special bond from the very beginning. While looking through old footage, they noticed a moment they had not thought much about before. Little Annabelle climbed over the other puppies and settled down beside Norman. As the brother and sister grew up, that closeness never went away. They developed their own games. Norman would hide somewhere out of sight, and Annabelle would bark until he came running out and started chasing her. But the older they became, the more obvious it was that Norman and Annabelle were completely different dogs, and each of them needed a different approach. From an early age, Norman was curious and active. He was always exploring everything around him and was the first puppy to figure out how to climb out of the pen. Annabelle was his complete opposite. She remained anxious and cautious about anything unfamiliar. Danny and Bobby turned to a dog behaviorist who explained that Annabelle should never be rushed. She needed to get used to unfamiliar things at her own pace. Over time, she became more confident, stopped being afraid of the pool, felt more comfortable during car rides, and found it easier to meet new people. But Danny and Bobby did not fully understand how strong her bond with Norman was until one visit to the veterinarian. One day, Bobby took Annabelle to the veterinarian while Norman stayed home. The entire time they were gone, he stood by the window as if he were waiting for them to come back. The moment the car pulled up to the house, Norman ran straight to Annabelle without paying any attention to Bobby. That was when Danny finally understood that despite their completely different personalities, the brother and sister truly needed each other and balanced one another perfectly. Bobby admits that he would not change anything about Annabelle. To everyone else, she's a big, full-grown pit bull. But around him, she's still Daddy's little girl. even if she can sometimes be a little too persistent and demanding.